right, so I want to show you how to use the insert edge loop command. Typically, you would be in object mode to start. So I know that I'm in object mode when it's green. If it were in blue, I would be in a different mode. So I'm in object mode. The mesh tool is where you'll find insert edge loop. Don't worry about learning to put that on the toolbar just yet. Learn where it is. So later it's easier to find. The edge loop goes all the way around the shape. Before I click this tool on the shape, this is a vertical edge, this is a vertical edge, this is a vertical edge, this is a horizontal edge, this is a horizontal edge, etc., all the way around the shape. Edge loop means you're going to click on the edge. If you click on the horizontal edge, it's going to make a vertical cut on this face. I'm holding down my mouse right now. I'm not letting go of my left click. This allows me to reposition, okay? If that's not where I want to immediately undo, okay? If I meant to put it here, then I can do that. See, all the way around. The different tool that it will cut is the multi-cut tool. This only cuts a face. I can go from vertex to vertex. And you can see that it only cut that face. I'm going to undo that cut. All right. Keep in mind when you are on one of these tools, whether it be insert edge loop or the multi-cut, that tool stays selected. So if you accidentally click somewhere else when you're trying to do something, you may accidentally place a cut. And some of you may click twice in the same spot, which is going to cause some problems possibly later on. I'm going to do that on purpose so I can demo the issue that I have. All right, let me put that more in the center for what I want to do. Now, I'm going to go back to my pointer tool. Now, I'll be honest, I don't memorize all the shortcuts, but when you point to one of these tools, you see the yellow little pop-up? It tells me I can't point to it because then it goes away. But it tells me select tool to the far right, that's the keystroke. So it's Q. So if I want to go to the select tool without using my mouse, I can press the Q on my keyboard. Those are things you can learn as you go when you see them. So when you're choosing a tool, pause a moment to see what those shortcuts are if there is one associated with that particular item. All right. So you're doing a lot of extrusions and at some point you're going to be doing some mirroring. I'm going to go into face mode right now. And at one point in the bear, it tells you to delete half of it. All right. There's half of it deleted. Okay. Now, I'm going to do something really quick and I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do yet. You might notice me, but I want to, do you see how that's been filled? Okay. Let me show you what happens when I go into round mode after I do the mirror, when I have that face. Mesh, mirror. All right. Now, you can play with these over here. My rectangle was not perfectly aligned, so I can do merge threshold. I can bend it, I can move things over, merge the borders. Probably the best thing to have done though, I'm going to undo that, is I'm going to go to my 4-panel view and I'm going to, actually it's not quite straight, but it's not too bad really. So this is the X side. That's the front. So I might need to just move the whole thing over just a wee bit. So it's right up on that line. I want to try to prevent that extra little space in between if I can. So mesh, mirror. And it's still not great. If I move it there, you can do it that way and get it right on there. And merge borders, all that stuff you can do. And then I'm going to press enter. Actually, I don't need to press enter, but now it's one object and I moved it so it's right on top of each other. But remember those 3 keys, 1, 2, and 3. Right now I'm in blocky mode. That's 1. If I press 2, it goes into smooth plus the blocky outline. If I press 3, it goes to smooth. This is not a permanent smooth. This is so you can look at it and see if you have any problems. I have some problems, don't I? That is because of that extra space, that extra face rather. I have learned after using this program for a long time that that will jump out of me really fast, and I know what the error is. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to remove that. I'm going to delete that face. Now I have to delete both of them because there was one on the other side. It mirrored, so they were both back to back. So I'm going to delete that so there is that hole again. And then I'm going to go back to object mode and I'm going to remirror, mesh mirror. And now when I press 3, it's fine. Okay. Now, one of the problems, I'm going to go back to 1. One of the problems with these extra lines here, I'm going to put some extra cuts with the edge loop. Okay, and then I'm going to go into vertex mode and I'm going to distort some things. I'm going to, oops, see how I clicked? I didn't turn off that. I may have made an extra cut. I'm going to click and drag to select both that one. Oh, and I didn't go far enough. I didn't get the one behind. So I want to get the one behind. See, I've got both of those. I'm going to hold shift and click and drag to get both of those. I didn't get it, so I'm just going to shift click it. Now I have 4. I'm going to use scale because I want them to go the same direction, or the mirror. I want them to go the same direction, the opposite direction, if that makes sense. If I were to use move, it would move the same direction. So all I'm doing right now is I am purposefully messing with some things to distort my shape a little bit so you can see what happens when I use the rounding function. Oh, I had an extra one there, see? So I'm going to undo immediately and deselect and then fix it. So that's why I always encourage you, after you do something, rotate it, make sure that you get that fixed and undo before you do too much else. Okay, there's our shape that I'm going to work with right now.
Wait,
And
Ms. Gross, I have a question.
can you wait just a moment, please? I did mess up, but I'm going to leave it there because I want to show you what it looks like curved. All right. Some of you accidentally have a mouth that you didn't intend to have on your bear, or you've got dimples in the nose. What you have to do when you're looking at smooth mode is try to see where the dimples are occurring. Okay. Now, it's making the curve in there. You don't want to edit in smooth. I'm going to go back to block. That's because I've got that extra, those two together. When you do smooth, it's taking that extra one and it's pulling that one in. And the more vertices you have, the smoother it will become. Okay, what is your question?
Yeah, so basically my question was, how'd you get to like editing the vertices? Did you like press like go to
Just
face and then
right click vertex mode.
vertex? Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
And I'm glad you asked that because sometimes when you screw up on the nose, you need to take one vertex and you need to move it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna make sure I did not get the one in the back. I'm gonna move it where it needs to be. See that? So that's
Mm-hmm.
how you can tweak things to figure out. Like sometimes when you do a cut, one of your vertices was that way. Let me show you what happens if I delete that half and then I remirror. Okay, do you see how that's not lined up perfectly? That's gonna really mess up my mirror. I'm gonna go back to object mode. I like going back to select mode so I don't accidentally move something. I'm gonna mirror it and it actually did okay, but it won't always do okay. Sometimes, let me do both sides here. Let me go back to vertex mode. Of course, when I'm trying to show you something messed up, I can't duplicate it. All right, let me just get these. I want that one, and I want this one and this one. Okay, so I'm gonna move those vertices over this way. Okay, so it's not a straight shot right there. So when I try to mirror, the mirror may not work right, and this is a drastic difference. So you'll see what I'm talking about. So it wasn't sure what to do. Now, sometimes that might also be the wrong axes. So I'm gonna undo that. You can remember to go to the mirror options, and you may want to check and do a different axis. Okay, that didn't do what I wanted, so I'm gonna undo, I'm gonna do this. So those are all things you can mess with. Um, but if it doesn't do perfectly the way you expect it, and you're looking at it from, and again, if you look at this, here's my front view, I can see that it's out of alignment. So I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna take these vertices and I'm gonna move them back. So, and try to get them as perfect as I can. And then sometimes I may need to move one or two individually, but I want you to get comfortable moving vertices. You just have to be able to look at your shape and identify where you think the tweaking might need to be made. I would rather you learn how to do that than undo everything and go back and redo, because then you're learning to fix things and you are learning how to troubleshoot. And sometimes it's just really fun to, now I know you're doing these for a grade, most of them, but sometimes it's just really satisfying when you can fix it on your own rather than having to delete and redo. Now, I will tell you, sometimes it's just better to delete and redo. An example might be is if you mess up on the head so drastically that it's just better to go select the faces of the head and chop the head off, go back, fill that hole, and start again. Okay? It is an option, but there just are a lot of different troubleshooting techniques that you can do.